Here we are, just beginning our Tuesday morning ride on the last week of Rich's ride. We're on the Natchez Trace trail. And this is just spectacular. It's hard to find words to describe what a nice ride this has been. We did about 40 miles of it north of Jackson on Saturday. Then I did about 40 yesterday. I'm going to kind of finish up today, headed roughly from Vicksburg to Natchez. This trail itself goes about 440 miles, starts at Nashville and goes to Natchez. And it actually started out as an animal trail. Animals sort of migrated from the Mississippi River through pasture land and up into Tennessee to apparently where there are some natural salt licks. And then the Native Americans started using it as a trail because they apparently weren't into clearing roads when the animals had already done it for them. So this particular trail was apparently created by bison. And then the Native Americans used it for centuries. And then when the European settlers arrived, they began to use it. And it eventually became an important federal road in the Thomas Jefferson years. Get from Tennessee to the Mississippi River. And then as the steamboats began to make moving along the river more efficient, the Natchez Trace sort of fell into disuse. And then was revived later. Now they've built this amazing road that starts in Nashville and goes all the way to the Mississippi River in Natchez, Mississippi. When I first read about this and heard about it, I kind of wondered about a road also doubling as a bike path. But they've done something really cool with it, because there's no commercial traffic allowed. So no trucks, no tourist buses, all that sort of stuff. And the speed limit's relatively low, and they patrol it pretty heavily. So, consequently, there's not a whole lot of traffic. And the traffic that is here is not necessarily trying to get someplace in a hurry. So they're very respectful of cyclists, whatnot. Consequently, even though you're sharing the road with cars, theoretically, you're not sharing the road with all that many cars. And it feels pretty darn safe. And as you can see, it is spectacular. And today I'm gonna pass somewhere around 120 miles of the trail, and it has all looked just like this. We've gone past reservoirs, pastures, woods, seen deer. It is amazing. And it has some nice downhills like this that are kind of fun too. It isn't very hilly, but it isn't flat either. It's pretty much, you're pretty much either going up inclines or descending inclines. Well, what a gorgeous morning. Becky and I had an interesting conversation last night. She was sort of getting on me a little bit for starting to get melancholy about the end of the ride. And after our conversation, I realized she really is right. This is not an end, but it is. And what it really is more like the end of a chapter than the end of a book. And at the end of a chapter, you sort of stop and you reflect. A lot of times you put the book down for a while and maybe even go to sleep and rest and recharge a bit. And then you pick it back up and the story continues. And that's what I believe really is going to happen here. We get to New Orleans, it's the end of a chapter. And it's time to reflect, and certainly it's time to celebrate. But it's not the end of the story. And having done some writing, I know that when you finish a chapter, you don't always know what the next chapter is going to be. And that's kind of where I am with this thing. I don't know what the next chapter is going to be, but I trust that there will be a next chapter. Look at that bridge. And so, the conversation with Becky really helped me, because there's no reason for this to be a time of sadness, at least not too much sadness. Because what's important about this ride isn't coming to an end at all, it's just beginning. And the job now is to see what we've learned and apply it to writing an even better next chapter. And I had another thought this morning that, you know, I've been talking a lot about how this isn't about the destination. It's about the journey. It's about traveling well, and that's also true, but yet it's not. Because it's really a false choice. Why does it have to be about one or the other? Why does it have to be journey or destination? I don't think it does. I think it's about both. I think that it's important to celebrate when we reach the destination. You know, that matters. So I can focus on New Orleans, or as they say here in the South, Nolans, or knowledge y'all. I can focus on that without losing sight of the joy of riding in a place like this, because they're not mutually exclusive. I guess maybe that's one reason why it's important to share a dream with a partner you trust. And I've certainly had an amazing partner on this journey. Somebody who can kind of keep you grounded and keep your eyes pointed in the right direction when you get a little off track. Reorient you. Somebody you trust enough that they can tell you when you're really kind of missing the boat. So it's kind of neat this morning to be riding on this beautiful trail with almost a renewed sense that we're getting toward the end of a chapter, but not the end of the story. That it's something to celebrate, something to reflect on, and then it'll be time to renew and refresh and write the next chapter. I don't know what I'll do when I edit this, but maybe I should just be quiet and let it run a little bit. Let you take in some of this incredible scenery, you know. Becky commented this morning as we were driving out here that it's been amazing to follow the changing seasons along the course of the river. We missed them a little bit in Minneapolis or Minnesota. We were just a tad early, but we started catching them in Wisconsin and certainly in Iowa and Illinois and in northern Missouri around Hannibal. We saw them in full force. Now we're seeing them again here. It is truly gorgeous. Truly a privilege and a blessing to be able to experience this. Patches of red, middle of all the green and gold. Light filtering through the trees. It really is quite amazing. It's kind of fun to just get out here and pretend there's nobody else around, because really there isn't. Ride down the middle of the road. I don't know what there is about riding in the middle of the road that's more attractive than riding on the side. But whenever my mind wanders a little bit, that's where I end up if there's no traffic around. And I have to remind myself, you know, I probably ought to stay over the side in case I don't hear somebody coming or something. I want to thank you all for being along on Rich's ride. If you're doing a 1,500 mile challenge, if you're doing a personal 1,500 challenge of some sort, encourage you to finish that up strong. maybe even go a little past it. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. What's the next chapter? Where do we go from here? Because it is we. We're all together on this journey of hope. So comment on the blog, or send me an email or a Facebook comment. Let me know what you think the next chapter is. We will be talking to you again soon. Probably the next time we do a video will be New Orleans. Or New Orleans, y'all. So here we go, flying down the hill, and we'll leave you with that.